Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely, and with me, of course, is Peter Lavelle, co-founder of The Gaggle and host of RT show Crosstalk. On Sunday, the New York Times, the newspaper of record, ran a 10,000-word story. Huge story. The entire front page was taken up with it about President Trump's taxes. And the gist of the story, the big takeaway that the Times wanted you to go away with, is that last year, the first year of Trump's presidency, he paid $750 in taxes. This, of course, we're meant to feel horror, shock, outrage, and the information that we're all waiting with bated breath is, where's Russia? Where's the check signed Vladimir Putin to my good friend Donald Trump? Missing.
For services rendered.
Services rendered. There's nothing written on the check, for what? It was missing. And the Times acknowledged a little line somewhere in that 10,000-word unreadable screen that there's no link to Russia anywhere here. But they promised that this is the first of many, many articles about Trump's taxes. So what did you think of this, Peter?
Well, number one, I suppose we should say the obvious is that like him or not, like the president or not, his privacy was violated because these were under audit from what we're told here, okay? Number two, he didn't pay any or almost no taxes. Yeah, surprised? No, the tax code is written for people like Donald Trump, okay? Why don't we compare it to Jeff Bezos, okay? Let's just have the top 10. I bet you anything they're remarkably similar. The richest people in the world don't pay taxes. Everybody knows that. Number three, Trump doesn't have as much money as he claims. Number four, he's heavily in debt. None of these things surprise me. Yep. Where did he pay? He paid more taxes abroad than he paid in the United States. Not surprised by that. Right. The claim that, this is just the beginning because we don't know where he invested his money. Well, taxation is a really good indicator, not a complete indicator, okay? But one common sense would dictate that you would have an inkling where he was investing his money because most people, either it's stated or unstated about what the tax obligation would be. So it's kind of, again, the walls are caving in. We're just around the corner. We've heard this for almost 4 years. Right. But of course, your most important takeaway was my most important takeaway. The one line that Russia had, there was no indication that he had any kind of financial dealings one way or another with Russia. It's not definitive, as I've just qualified. However, he's probably the most researched, investigated person that has ever lived on the planet. All right. So, don't hold your breath. But for me, it was, it's one of these things, where, George, yeah, I know all of this because common sense dictated all of this, okay? So, of course, I felt completely vindicated. But, all of the people that make Cenk Uygur over at the Young Turks, he says, the real Russiagate is his taxes. Well, Cenk, are you going to admit you were wrong? But I suppose you won't, Cenk, because the rest of you people, all the other Russiagators will never say they're sorry because we're just around the corner. All right. Look, the primary subsource for the Steele dossier is now believed to have been an intelligence operative for Russia. Okay. The basis of an entire piece of fiction here. Is anybody going to lose their job? Maybe. I doubt it. Okay.
Well, the strange thing is, of course, about Trump is that just about every American businessman since the days of Arm & Hammer has dreamt of making a ton of money in Russia. It almost never happened. But they've always dreamt of this. Of all of these American businessmen, Trump is probably the one who has been least exposed to Russia. He's never really, done anything more than dipped his toes in Russia. He took that beauty pageant to Moscow in 2013, and
Which he
that's
made
about it.
money on.
Yeah,
Which he
yeah.
made a lot of money.
He never pursued the idea of building a Trump Tower in Moscow. That's why it was left to these clowns like Felix Sater and what was the name of that lawyer, the one who's gone to prison? I forgot his name. I can't. Cohen, Michael Cohen. Yeah. That they went around trying to let's get this Trump Tower in Moscow deal off the ground. And I had no idea even whom to contact there. So they wrote
used the Kremlin the official Kremlin website, and they just left a message, a cold call. That's as far as it went.
That's as far as it went. And of course, the Kremlin told them, we're not the people who deal with building permits in Moscow, which anyone could have said. You don't write to Boris Johnson if you want to build a building in London. I mean, he's not the one responsible for granting building permits.
If you want to build a hotel in Moscow, you got to contact the mayor's office. I'm
Exactly.
sorry. Maybe I could have made a lot of money off of that consulting fee right there. Okay, invoice me. Okay.
Right. Exactly. But you can see what idiots they were, because that's pretty much true. Just about everywhere in the world, you want to build something in a city, you go to the mayor's office. You don't go to the president. So we know this. That of course. Trump has never been exposed to any Russia thing. But again, Trump has been investigated for decades. I mean, he's been a controversial figure. A lot of people have disliked him for many years. He was a self-promoter. He's a braggart. He's been investigated, and no one's ever really found anything on him. I mean if there was anything on him, we'd have known about it.
The thing is that if you're interested in his financial affairs, I mean, what you can glean from the New York Times story is that he makes his money off of branding, not off of investing. All right, he's a brand.
And
I mean, and it's been well known. It's been well known that through the series of bankruptcies that he's experienced here, that his financial advisors have told him repeatedly, your most important product is your brand. Okay, let people run these places for you. Okay, they get to use your name. You sell them a license, and you will make money. Okay, so that's, and again, common sense will tell you these things if you just go in with your eyes open, without prejudice and bias. Are we complimenting Donald Trump? No, I think the tax code is appalling. Okay, appalling. I mean, a waitress, or an Uber driver pays more in taxes a year than Donald Trump did, apparently.
But exactly. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous that people in real estate get these depreciation allowances. I mean, the one thing that is a guaranteed certainty is that if you have property in New York, it's going to go up in value. So where do you get off getting any kind of depreciation allowance? Because it always goes up in value.
See,
I mean, it's the most valuable thing you can have, real estate in New York City.
But see, the New York Times story is not an indictment of Donald Trump. It is an indictment of the economic and financial system in the United States. But they're so dumb and blinded by their hatred, they can't even say, you know what? This is a very interesting story. What it tells us about the inequality in our country and the inequality of how political power is used and for whom. That's a great story in that sense, but they came up dry because they're looking for a cudgel to take out a person that is part of a system that has actually come up short for the vast majority of the population.
That's right. And of course, it's the same thing with the carried interest loophole, in which hedge fund managers get to pay no taxes because they get paid in stock options. So you get stock options, you avoid your taxes, and your value just goes up exponentially every year, and you don't pay taxes. And they boast about it. That the guy, I always forget the sage of Omaha, one of the richest men in the world, is always saying, yeah, of course I pay less taxes than my secretary because my class is winning the class war. He sniggers about it, but it's true. These hedge fund managers, they know how to game the system to avoid paying taxes, and that's exactly what Trump has done. I mean, yeah, why wouldn't you do it? You got your smart lawyers, you get your smart accountants, and you minimize your tax liability.
I mean, George, when this story broke, when I heard the headlines, for me, number one, they came up dry, and number two, Trump did is exactly what every other person like him does. He's not. I think it's wrong. I think it's immoral, but there's nothing illegal about it. That's why it's immoral. It's not illegal.
Right. Right. Exactly. And there's also the question that he did this before he became president. Now, if you look at comparison with the Hunter Biden story, there you're getting into issues where the vice president's family is benefiting directly from the public duties of the vice president. And that is a public interest story. That is something that needs inquiry. It's not what you did before you became president, because everybody knew that Trump was somewhat of a shady character. What did you do in office? And the media have not touched the Hunter Biden story since it broke the other day.
Yeah, again, that was another one of my immediate takeaways, is that here the most investigated person in history, and I mean that quite literally, probably, and then you have this glaring inappropriateness, at the very least, of the former vice president's son, and these activities happened while Joe Biden was in office as vice president. Okay, right. It had been documented about Hunter Biden's activities in Ukraine and in China and elsewhere, and other issues which I don't want to go into here, but this show a lack of moral fiber, if I can say. Yeah. So, I mean, here's something you really can bite in and chew on, and I'm hoping, and I understand that's going to be referred to the DOJ and the FBI. We'll see what happens, but there always seems to be paralysis for the political class. You know what I mean? I mean, Hunter. He's had a tough time. No, he's a grown man, for God's sake. Okay. Yeah. He's not like he's he's having trouble in prep school. Okay. Right. And it's this not Hunter. I mean, Joe Biden's brother and other members of his family have gone to the bank here. This is documented. Yep. This is not hearsay. This is not speculation.
That's it.
Again,
that's right.
To what degree it is illegal, that's for a court to decide. Okay, you and I are not making any claims whatsoever other than activities that have been researched and made known to the public. Okay,
but it's very interesting.
We're not going down any rabbit hole here.
Right, but that's very interesting what you said, because of course that was the argument. Oh, nothing illegal in anything that Hunter Biden did. May or may not be true. I'm not a lawyer, but then you could easily say the same thing as soon as the Times published that 10,000 word massive operation. You can say, well, there's nothing illegal here. You haven't mentioned anything at all that Trump has done illegal. But apparently that doesn't really matter. That's just then that's still worth 10,000 and front page coverage.
Okay, well then let's have the Hunter Biden rule and apply it to Paul Manafort. Let's see where that goes. Okay.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to set a standard, then let's make it a standard, and we can make comparisons. Okay. Right. It seems to be, like you've already alluded to here, anybody that's in big time real estate, well, they got a little bit of dirt under their nails, if you know what I mean. Okay. Everybody does. It's part of the business. Okay. And influence peddling is rampant. But Don Jr., I mean, they go through him with a fine-tooth comb, right. And remarkably, nothing of substance there. And you don't need to look what's going on with the Biden family. I mean, it comes jumping at you. I mean, with Donald Jr., you really have to go into the weeds. Right. And it's just staring you in the face when it comes to Hunter Biden. I'm condemning influence peddling by everyone. Okay, I'm not going after Biden. He's just a sorry slug. I mean, he's pay to play Joe, but it's pay to play everybody.
Well, we'll see today.
Except Donald Trump, apparently.
That's it. Well, we'll see today whether this comes up in the debate. I don't think that they will raise the Hunter Biden issue. Trump may raise it, but I don't think Chris Wallace will. Anyway, thank you very much, Peter. Very interesting discussion. We'll have more tomorrow. Remember, if you like The Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.